If your life has ever been touched by a sign, a symbol that appeared again and again, one you couldn't ignore, know that it wasn't a coincidence. It was a calling that pulled toward a crescent shape, that connection to the letter M. It wasn't chance, it was divine orchestration. You weren't just picked, you were appointed. Marked, not randomly, but with purpose, because your time of lack has ended. The next chapter is not powered by your hands, it's fueled by something far greater. Every chosen soul experiences a shift, a moment where trials feel different. They stop feeling like resistance and begin to feel like a revelation. And if you've ever caught yourself staring at that crescent, feeling something stir within you, or drawn inexplicably to that letter M, don't dismiss it. That was not imagination, that was intuition. You carry traces of divinity etched into your spirit before you ever arrived here. You're not just existing, you're evolving. You're no longer pursuing fortune, you're aligning with flow. This is the turning point when the spiritual realm takes command, when the Creator steps in, not only to lead, but to deliver. And when that hand moves, what once felt like a pause becomes a pivot. What once seemed empty turns into overflow. And you, yes, you rise into the reality others believed you'd never reach. You weren't just noticed, you were anointed. And this moment is not a motivational quote. It is a confirmation, a message that the very path you're walking was crafted with intention long before the world acknowledged your existence. That moon, that M, they're not design elements. They are messengers, signals to remind you that your existence is not ordinary. You were not born to blend in. You were born marked, set apart to carry a vibration few can comprehend. That resonance you carry, the one that hums louder during moments of silence, is the sound of destiny. You weren't shaped in comfort, you were molded in contrast. And the signs that follow you aren't decorations, they're direction. You carry the frequency of restoration, a rhythm of renewal. The moon, it's not just light in the dark, it's a cycle of dying to old selves and rising in wisdom, of falling only to climb higher, of silence, birthing sound, and that M, it's the mantle, a symbol of mastery, of messenger energy, of momentum. You carry motion in your name, power in your presence. You weren't selected to be silent. You were sculpted to shift atmospheres. You are not here to maintain patterns. You are here to break them. Where your family collapsed, you will stand. Where your lineage stopped, you will begin. You've felt it since childhood, that magnetic pull toward more, even when you couldn't explain it. That feeling, that was the echo of purpose. You were not born to fade into the background. You were born to change the color of the canvas. The pain wasn't punishment, it was preparation. The weight wasn't withholding, it was alignment. You are destined for a level of breakthrough that reshapes futures, not just for yourself, but for those who follow after you. The burdens you carried are now becoming bridges. The scars you hid are now weapons of wisdom. That divine marking wasn't to decorate you. It was to authorize you, to walk boldly into places no one expected you to reach, to speak into rooms that once silenced your voice, to build things others only dreamed of. You are the inflection point on the family timeline, the shift in generations, the rebirth of resilience. You are the walking evidence that when heaven claims someone, no force, not poverty, not rejection, not abandonment, can erase that signature. So stand. Stand not in arrogance, but in assurance. You weren't labeled to impress the world. You were marked to impact it. That is your spiritual inheritance. You were not created at random. You were crafted for greatness. You've survived long enough carrying storms others never saw, long enough patching up wounds in silence, hoping someone might see the effort, long enough wiping tears and still standing tall, even when your legs shook beneath the weight. But now, the heavens speak a new word, enough, not because you gave up, but because you proved faith. because you've tried every route, every formula, every fallback plan, and that's where the divine enters. At the edge of effort, when human striving meets holy surrender. See, survival is draining because it demands you to always be in control. But surrender, that's where the supernatural begins. That's where God takes the lead and says, "Now watch what I do." It's not weakness to let go. It's sacred wisdom. It's an internal shift where striving ends and spiritual strategy begins. You didn't come this far to rely on yourself. You came this far to realize what it means to rest in divine flow, not personal fear. Surrender isn't about quitting. It's about trusting that divine direction is better than anxious construction. Everything that felt like delay, everything that felt like a dead end, was not sent to destroy you. It was there to deliver you into alignment, into a place of purpose-led living, not panic-led decisions. And when the divine steps in, movement happens quickly, precisely, powerfully. You'll find opportunities you never pursued, meet people you never sought, receive favor in places that once rejected you. But none of that begins until you release control, until you stop treating your destiny like a project and start honoring it as a calling. Because that's what surrender really is, a sacred act of trust, a holy transfer of responsibility, a deep acknowledgement that the one who wrote your blueprint is far more qualified to build the structure. You've spent years grinding, building, and trying to make something stick through sheer effort. But all along, you were being prepared to shift from performance to positioning, from effort to alignment. You've been carrying the weight of your purpose on your shoulders for too long. Now it's time to place it in divine hands and declare, "I trust the path that's greater than my plans." Because this journey ahead is not about how hard you push, it's about how deeply you surrender. This is the moment of transformation, from striving to stillness, from exhaustion to divine execution, from waiting for a miracle to becoming one. There always comes a moment when the chosen one is no longer called to hustle, but to hand it over. That moment is now, when heaven says, "I've got this." When the divine steps in, not just to bless what you're doing, but to lead it fully. Your gifts, your dreams, your platform, your purpose, everything you've been managing and stressing over is now under new management. God isn't just capable, He's flawless. He's not just a helper, He's the architect. You've spent enough time trying to force progress, to make a name, to build a vision in a world full of noise. And while your work mattered, it wasn't the foundation, it was the refinement. Now, because you've demonstrated consistency in quiet seasons, purity in the shadows, and integrity when no one was watching, now comes the shift. Now comes the takeover. When heaven becomes your CEO, your approach transforms. You move from chasing to receiving, from pushing to preparing. The divine opens doors no trend could predict, brings allies no networking event could produce, and multiplies what once barely survived. Dreams that once collected dust are revived. Ideas you thought had expired suddenly ignite. Projects shelved out of fear are brought back with power, not because the world changed, but because divine timing arrived. God doesn't move on your schedule. He moves on sacred time, a timing that makes what seemed impossible happen effortlessly. And when that moment hits, all the effort that once left you weary is replaced with ease. Not because you're lucky, but because you're in sync. He's not just supporting your vision, He's scaling it, elevating it, protecting it. He removes what no longer serves the journey. He trims the distractions, clears the fog, and positions you for levels you never dared to ask for. And the most profound part, you're no longer carrying this weight alone. Divine energy flows through you. You respond to it not by pushing harder, but by walking in obedience. You move with presence, not panic. For too long, you believed wealth would bring significance. But the truth is, your significance is what now attracts wealth. When favor rests on you, logic no longer applies. The world won't understand it, because favor doesn't operate within fairness. It operates within assignment. It moves without validation. It doesn't wait for approval. It flows with precision, speed, and impact. Some people will question how you achieved so much with so little effort, but they won't see the years you were faithful when no one noticed. They won't know the hours you wept while still walking. They won't understand the price of obedience. You carry a frequency that resonates with abundance, a presence that commands attention, not by loudness, but by light. This isn't arrogance, it's authenticity. It's the realization that you carry divine currency. You've reached a place where you no longer beg for access. You create it. You no longer shrink to fit spaces. You expand them. You don't ask for seats at tables. You design your own, then invite others to feast. The blessing was never in the opportunity. It was in you all along. What you touch turns to growth. What you speak carries authority. Where you walk, things shift. You don't follow favor. It follows you, and that changes everything. Because when you realize you are the wealth, you stop searching outwardly and start tapping into the source within. Your words carry power. Your presence creates momentum. Your story births transformation. God didn't just promise to give to you. He created you to give through. You are not merely a recipient of overflow. You are a river, a divine channel, a conduit through which vision, clarity, and provision flow. You are no longer waiting for wealth. You are becoming it. Heaven's investment in you is not just for increase, it's for influence. You're being positioned as a source of wisdom, healing, and breakthrough for people you may never meet. Because when God chooses someone, the elevation isn't for status, it's for service. The blessing isn't for boasting, it's for building. He raises you not to show off success, but to showcase strategy, divine strategy. Your ideas will rebuild what was broken. Your voice will release those who were bound. Your calling is a key unlocking freedom, not just for you, but for generations. You are not just rising, you are carrying others with you. And now, all those seasons of pain become portals for purpose. Every scar becomes a symbol of strength. Every closed door becomes a testament to divine timing. You are walking proof that nothing can stop what has been stamped by heaven. So don't be surprised when the pace picks up, when the connections align, when the blessings arrive unannounced. This is not random. This is release. This is not chance. This is chosen. You're not manifesting. You're fulfilling. And it's all happening because you finally aligned. Because you surrendered, striving for strategy. Because you embraced the wisdom of letting go. And now the divine, not your effort, is the engine. You're not just receiving blessings. You are becoming a blessing. You're not just changing your life. You're shifting the atmosphere. And when the world wonders how it happened, you'll smile, not in pride, but in peace. Because you'll know, it was never just you. It was never just effort. It was divine alignment, a sacred rhythm, a spiritual inheritance, finally being claimed. Every time you were left waiting, every door that didn't open, every opportunity that slipped through your hands, it wasn't a failure. It was part of a higher formation. You weren't being punished. You were being preserved. You weren't overlooked. You were hidden on purpose. Because the truly chosen ones can't be pushed into premature light. They must be refined in silence, strengthened in solitude, and shaped away from the noise. The delay wasn't the absence of blessing. It was the arrival of divine order. What you thought was rejection was actually redirection. What felt like a closed chapter was preparation for the real story to begin. You had to be developed before you could be displayed. Before God could elevate you, He had to anchor you. That season of silence, it was holy. A sacred space where your character was built, your discernment sharpened, your spirit fortified. You were being prepared to carry what others would collapse under. You were being fitted for an inheritance too weighty to carry without inner transformation. You thought you were ready, but heaven knew the details that still needed alignment. And so you waited, you prayed, you endured, not knowing that the delay was not denial, it was design. Now, that design is unfolding. What was kept from you is now being released to you. What once felt out of reach is now rushing toward you, not because your worth has changed, but because your season has shifted. The right doors will recognize you. The right people will honor your presence. The right time will reveal your preparation. It was never about you lacking anything. It was about heaven arranging everything. Your delay wasn't a wall. It was a womb, a sacred place where the deeper version of you was formed, where your ego dissolved and your essence emerged. God had to hide you so you wouldn't build on applause. He had to strip away the need for approval so that your foundation would be pure, built not on popularity, but on purpose. He taught you to move in silence, to trust the unseen, to serve with excellence when no one was clapping, to lead with humility when no one followed. That wasn't wasted. That was the making of someone who could not be moved by storms. And now, when the elevation comes, it won't be noisy. It won't be for show. It'll be undeniable. The kind of rise that makes people stop and ask, how did that happen? And the answer won't be strategy. It'll be surrender. It won't be credentials. It'll be calling. It won't be chance. It'll be clarity that this was always in motion, just hidden in divine timing. You were protected from premature platforms so that when you do arrive, you won't need to prove anything. Your presence will speak. Your process will echo. Your posture will confirm what heaven already approved. This moment isn't about being seen. It's about being sent. You've been trusted with more than favor. You've been trusted with assignment. And when God trusts someone like that, He doesn't just bless them, He breathes through them. You're entering the space where doors open without force, where people arrive without effort, where confirmation meets you in silence. Why? Because you're in alignment. Your steps are guided. Your GPS is no longer emotional, it's spiritual. You're being navigated by intuition, rooted in faith, not fear. You're not just making choices anymore. You're following divine coordinates. This isn't luck. It's leadership from above. Everything is beginning to click. The old struggles no longer define you. The old needs no longer distract you. You're moving different, with peace, with purpose, with presence, because now you see. You don't have to chase what's already yours. You don't have to beg for what's already been assigned. You simply walk. You show up. You speak when prompted. And the rest, it flows. This is what it means to be guided, to be moved by a force greater than fear, to walk through what once broke you and realize it no longer has power, because now you're not functioning from survival. You're moving with surrender. You're not asking for scraps. You're stewarding strategy. You're not questioning your value. You're clear. You carry light. The people leaving your life, that's not betrayal. That's alignment. Not everyone can breathe in the air your elevation requires. Some were with you for the journey through pain, but they can't handle the frequency of overflow. Let them go, not out of pride, but out of peace. Not because you no longer care, but because you now understand that elevation always requires separation. The next version of your journey demands a circle that honors your assignment, not just your comfort. You need voices that speak vision, not echo your doubt. People who sharpen your purpose, not soothe your stagnancy. This shift is divine. It's not isolation, it's insulation. God is clearing space, so that when the blessing arrives, it isn't choked out by noise. It grows in clarity. The quiet around you isn't punishment, it's preparation. The silence is sacred. It's heaven cutting out distortion so you can hear next steps. And yes, it might feel lonely, but in that holy space, purpose matures, discernment deepens. You begin to recognize the difference between being liked and being led. Let the pruning happen. Let the old fall away. Let the silence stay. Let the circle change. Because what's forming around you now isn't a crowd. It's a core, a remnant of those assigned to the next chapter of your becoming. You don't need everyone. You just need the right ones, and they are coming. Carriers of vision, guardians of oil, protectors of destiny. So let the shift complete. Don't resist what God is removing. Don't mourn what He's unbuilding, because what's leaving is making room for what's lasting. Your story isn't breaking, it's being rebuilt. Your circle isn't smaller, it's stronger. Your path isn't unclear, it's just unfamiliar. And that's okay, because unfamiliar is the birthplace of miracles. Trust it. This next chapter is not just about receiving, it's about becoming. You are not here just to experience abundance, you are here to embody it. What's flowing to you now isn't just provision, it's purpose in motion. You are not being elevated for applause, you're being entrusted for impact. Heaven's wealth is not random, it's assigned. You're being positioned not only to break cycles, but to rebuild what was broken in your family, your community, and generations yet to come. This is bigger than your goals. This is destiny revealing itself through your surrender. You are not just receiving overflow, you are becoming the vessel for it. A living distribution center of vision, provision, and divine wisdom. You are being trusted, not for luxury, but for leadership. Your influence won't just be measured in numbers. It will be measured in impact, in healed hearts, awakened minds, and lives shifted by your obedience. This is the weight of favor. It does not fall lightly. It does not come to flatter your ego. It arrives to fulfill an assignment. You are being called to carry what others couldn't, to say yes where others said no, to walk boldly where others hesitated. This isn't prosperity for performance. It's provision for purpose. You are being equipped to restore what was stolen, not just in your life, but for others who never had the chance to dream. You are being asked to become the proof that legacy can be rewritten. You're not rising alone. You're rising as a lighthouse guiding others out of storms you once had to survive yourself. You are the pattern breaker. The evidence that the chain ends with you. That the struggle doesn't get to be the final word. You're stepping into the fullness of divine partnership. You're no longer running this race on your own strength. From this moment forward, you walk with divine authority. God is not just guiding you. He is moving through you. Your wealth doesn't begin with money. It begins with identity, with clarity, with alignment. And now that your heart is anchored and your vision is purified, heaven trusts you with overflow, not just to live well, but to lead well. This is not just a season of harvest, it's a season of assignment. You are the answer to prayers others haven't even prayed yet. The confirmation someone is waiting for. The catalyst for change in places you haven't even entered. And as you rise, your surroundings will continue to shift. Elevation demands clarity. It makes room for what supports your soul and removes what once soothed your wounds but can't walk in your healing. Don't resist that. It's protection. Your circle may grow smaller, but it will grow stronger. Every person removed makes space for those who honor your oil, not just your image. You need people who speak to your purpose, not your past, who challenge your growth, not feed your comfort. And when the right people enter, you'll feel it. You'll recognize them by their alignment, not their applause, by how they pour into your purpose, not how they pull on your energy. These people aren't just friends, they're divine collaborators. The silence you've experienced was not rejection, it was a setup. The space was needed to recalibrate, so that when God brings your tribe, your team, your spiritual family, you'll be ready to lead, serve, and walk with them in power. You are not rising for vanity. You are rising for victory, not for temporary hype, but eternal impact. And, as this divine wealth flows through you, lives will be changed, stories rewritten, generational curses broken. You are the bridge between what was and what will be. You are the delivery system for something far greater than yourself. This is living, not just about comfort, but contribution, not just prosperity, but purpose. This is heaven's strategy moving through your yes, so don't minimize your role. Don't shrink back when the blessing shows up. Don't let old mindsets sabotage a new season. You are not unworthy. You are ready, tested, trained, transformed, chosen, not just to carry the blessing, but to be it. You're not waiting on overflow anymore. It's waiting on you. Waiting for you to walk like it's already yours. To speak like you understand the weight you carry. To move like every step has purpose. Because it does. The inheritance has always been yours. The process was preparation. The pain was purification. And now, the promise is being fulfilled. Not by luck, by alignment. You've surrendered the plan. Now walk in the path. This isn't about trying harder. It's about trusting deeper. This is your appointed moment. Your divine hour. The time when what was once delayed now manifests with power. And as you step fully into this, know that everything, every detour, delay, and disappointment served this purpose. You are not behind. You are right on time. Your spiritual GPS has not failed you. It has led you here. Doors will open. Connections will be made. Favor will follow. But more importantly, clarity will guide you. Peace will protect you. And power will rest upon you. Because this is not the beginning of something random. This is the unveiling of something sacred. A blueprint written long before you knew the script. So step forward now. Not with fear, but with fire. Not with doubt, but with divine certainty. You're not just part of a miracle. You are the miracle. The message, the messenger. You've been chosen. You've been confirmed. You've been anointed. And your wealth, the wealth of purpose, clarity, vision, wisdom, favor, and provision, begins now.